crossword puzzle theme, ego traits according to human personality. Welcome to EGO PEDIA's Psychological Crossword Challenge. This puzzle focuses on different ego-driven traits that emerge from various human personalities. Each word represents a behavior, defense mechanism, or emotional pattern tied to ego expression, whether through arrogance, insecurity, overconfidence, or self-protection. Can you decode the psyche, one word at a time? A cross and down clues list, clue bank. Here are the clues used to build the crossword. Each term represents a trait or concept linked to ego expression in human personality types. A cross. 1. Arrogance, an exaggerated sense of one's own importance or abilities. 2. Pride, a feeling of deep satisfaction, sometimes inflated by ego. 3. Perfectionism, a personality trait where anything less than flawless feels unacceptable. 4. Dominance, an assertive, sometimes controlling behavior often used to establish superiority. 5. Insecure, a hidden trait behind many ego defenses, marked by self-doubt. 6. Jealousy, a possessive emotion tied to fear of losing status or affection. 7. Defiance, resistance to authority, often as a form of ego protection. 8. Entitlement, the belief that one inherently deserves special treatment. 9. Narcissism, a personality style involving self-admiration and lack of empathy.
Down.
2. EGO, the central concept of this puzzle, a mediator of identity, pride, and self-image. 3. Vulnerability, what the ego often hides or avoids confronting. 4. Criticism, something many ego-driven personalities resist or take personally. 5. Control, a coping mechanism used by some to manage ego-related anxiety. 6. Mask, what people metaphorically wear to cover their true feelings or flaws. 7. Defense, a psychological strategy to protect the ego from perceived threats. 8. Superiority, the belief or attitude that one is better than others. 9. Facade, an outward appearance that hides inner ego-based insecurities. 10. ID, according to Freud, this primitive part of the psyche drives selfish urges. Educational notes, for the article or puzzle description. Each of the above words reflects the spectrum of ego expression in human behavior. While some traits may seem negative like arrogance or narcissism, they often stem from underlying fears, insecurities, or learned behaviors. Understanding these traits helps us build emotional intelligence, recognize ego patterns in ourselves and others, develop more compassionate communication. In psychology, ego isn't just about being proud or boastful, it's about how we protect, project, and present ourselves in the world. Certainly. Below is a detailed explanation of each ego-related term from the across and down clues list. These explanations are designed to provide psychological insight while being suitable for educational content, such as for a crossword puzzle companion guide, article, or voiceover. Across. 1. Arrogance, a form of exaggerated self-importance. Arrogant individuals often believe they are better, smarter, or more valuable than others. This trait is often a defense mechanism, hiding insecurity or fear of inadequacy. 3. Pride. Pride can be healthy, such as taking satisfaction in accomplishments, but when inflated by ego, it can turn into superiority and hinder personal growth. Excessive pride often prevents people from admitting mistakes or accepting help. 5. Perfectionism. Driven by an inner fear of failure or judgment, perfectionists hold themselves, and sometimes others, to impossibly high standards. This ego trait can lead to burnout, procrastination, and chronic dissatisfaction. 7. Dominance. The need to control or lead others in a way that asserts one's own power or worth. In some personalities, dominance is a way the ego ensures status and influence, often compensating for deeper feelings of powerlessness. 9. Insecure. While not often visible, insecurity is a root cause of many ego-driven behaviors. When the ego feels threatened by perceived inadequacy, it may overcompensate through arrogance, control, or withdrawal. 11. Jealousy. a reactive emotion that arises when a person fears losing something valuable such as attention, respect, or love. It is tied to the ego's fear of being replaced, overlooked, or diminished. 13. Defiance. A resistance to rules, authority, or social expectations. This can be a rebellious form of ego asserting itself, especially in individuals who feel unseen or controlled. 15. Entitlement. The belief that one deserves special treatment or privileges without necessarily earning them. This ego trait often causes friction in relationships and workplaces due to a lack of accountability or empathy. 17. Narcissism. A personality style marked by excessive self-focus, a need for admiration, and a lack of empathy. Narcissism is one of the most studied ego traits, and while it may present as confidence, it often masks deep emotional wounds.
Down.
2. Ego. The central structure of one's identity in many psychological theories. In Freudian terms, the ego mediates between the instinctual drives of the ID and the moral constraints of the superego. In everyday language, it refers to one's self-image, pride, and self-worth. 4. Vulnerability. A state of emotional openness and honesty that the ego often tries to avoid. While vulnerability is essential for connection and healing, the ego sees it as weakness, leading to defenses like anger, avoidance, or perfectionism. 6. Criticism. Negative feedback that the ego may perceive as an attack. When taken personally, criticism can trigger defensiveness or shame. A healthy ego learns to separate feedback from personal value. 8. Control. The ego's attempt to manage uncertainty or discomfort by dictating outcomes. Controlling behavior often stems from fear of failure, rejection, or chaos. It can strain relationships and lead to anxiety. 10. Mask. A metaphor for the personality we show to the world, often to protect our inner vulnerabilities. Masks allow the ego to hide fears, flaws, or insecurities behind a socially acceptable persona. 12. Defense. Short for defense mechanism, these are unconscious strategies the ego uses to protect itself from anxiety or emotional pain. Examples include denial, projection, repression, and rationalization. 14. Superiority. A mindset or attitude where one believes they are better or more worthy than others. This often emerges when the ego feels threatened or needs to establish dominance in social hierarchies. 16. Facade. A false front presented to others to hide what one truly feels or believes. Unlike a mask, which is usually intentional, a facade may be more deeply ingrained and used to avoid emotional exposure. 18. ID. In Freudian psychology, the ID is the primal part of the mind that contains basic drives and instincts like hunger, aggression, and desire. The ego tries to regulate these impulses in socially acceptable ways. Final thoughts for readers or viewers. Understanding these terms helps us become more aware of the inner conflicts and emotional patterns that shape our behaviors. By identifying how the ego operates through pride, fear, control, or defenses, we can grow emotionally, improve relationships, and live more authentically.